Hello, everyone. I'm Tracy Ariely, end-of-life doula and founder of Comforting Closure. Today, I'm happy to be hosting Susan Coffey, a massage therapist who brings peace and comfort to people in hospice care. Her knowledge of hospice massage has not only helped many people feel better, but has also helped many understand the nuanced approach of end-of-life care. Susan, welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Happy to be here.
Susan, can you start by telling us what initially drew you to specialize in hospice massage and how has your practice evolved over the years?
Well, I'll be honest that hospice massage was never something that I intended to do. Um, I learned a little bit about it in massage school, and it certainly piqued my curiosity. I remember specifically there's a very well-known massage therapist from California, Irene Smith, who passed last year, but she kind of became the first massage therapist to teach how to care for people in end of life. And specifically, she worked with AIDS patients in the 80s, which, of course, no one wanted to do that kind of work. And she spearheaded this movement towards specifically AIDS end of life care. And I remember learning about her and thinking, how lovely, that is amazing, but not feeling like I was equipped to do it. It almost seemed too difficult emotionally. And then years went by, and after teaching for many years, I had an opportunity to work with a hospice organization and decided that perhaps I was better equipped. And so I began working for that organization. The better equipped piece is, of course, very subjective. But for me, I needed to have a huge loss. I know that sounds crazy, but I needed to experience the loss of my mother and have years between the event and where I was to kind of process those feelings and come to a place where it didn't make me uncomfortable to be with sick people. It was almost like I had perspective, as if working with people who I knew imminently were going to die didn't feel quite as heartbreaking because I had already experienced my own worst heartbreak. And so that brought me to this organization, as I said. And I only saw healthy people in my private practice, and I worked for this organization the other days of the week. And eventually, what I realized, or actually, it didn't take that long, was that there was a lack of training for massage therapists. And so after only a few years working with hospice massage, I wrote and developed a course for continuing ed and became an educator in the field, which has its own rewards, of course. And so at this point now, I've practiced massage for 20 years, hospice massage for 8 years, taught hospice massage for 5 years. I feel like I have a pretty good sense of why it's important. And and I hope that I will always be an advocate for touch at the end of life.
You talk about education and needing education and then um, realizing that you can actually help other people learn about this. How does working with people in hospice differ from working with healthy individuals? Just from a high level, I know there's a lot to it, but
There is a lot to it. But I think if I zero into it, um, typically massage therapy with healthy people involves fixing. And who doesn't like to fix? And in contrast to that, there is no fixing when we're working with people at the end of life. We're not fixing. We're not curing cancer. We're not curing dementia. None of those things are happening. And so it ends up being more of a mind shift from that. There's a problem. I'm going to fix it to I am going to be. I'm going to be with this patient at a time where they're the most vulnerable. And I'm going to try my hardest to bring comfort. And for me, the easiest way to do that is through touch, because that's what I do. But there's another layer to it that's different as well from doing massage with healthy people, is the need to be present and oftentimes for people at the end of life who are feeling so many emotions and even overwhelmed many times, they need someone to kind of hold all of their feelings without fixing. And so then it becomes, okay, not only am I not fixing a physical problem, but I'm not fixing an emotional problem. And that was a really difficult thing for me to learn because I am by nature a fixer. Um, I want to make people feel better. And so I want to give them like some ideas or suggestions of how they can be better. And because I can't do that in hospice, what I had to learn painstakingly was to stop speaking and to just listen. And that is so challenging. Um, and in that, just kind of creating this space between me and the patient where they feel safe to say anything. And there have been many things that people have said to me that maybe they haven't shared with anyone else. And just kind of holding that, so holding their emotions and also holding their body in whatever way that looks like on that day.
It's interesting that you talk about holding space for people. When I switched from my career in high tech and I decided to become a grief coach and an end of life doula, that holding space was difficult for me. It wasn't difficult to learn, but continuing to hold space, it is difficult, as you said, and it is very you really have to open up your heart. You have to open up yourself, and you have to be okay with not fixing, as you said, and just listening. And it is a lot tougher than it seems, but it is a gift. It really is a gift to be able to do it, and it's needed. Could you talk about a little bit about self-care, since we are, talking about holding space for people, and how emotional that is also for us to do that?
Absolutely. One of the first things I noticed when I started doing hospice massage was at the end of the day, I was exhausted in a very different way than the end of a day in my massage practice with healthy people, where I might be physically tired. But at the end of the day, after seeing people in hospice, I would nap every day. I would come home drop my belongings, walk upstairs, get in bed, and take a nap. And I think it was just my body's way of saying, we need to rest. Like that was a lot. Taking all of that on is a lot. And I just felt this incredible desire to sleep. And so that became one of my first, major self-care routines. The others, I have a couple. One is I try to cry in my car. And I do that because I find if I don't let go of my sadness, then I'm just kind of carrying it around like, like a load. And so often when I leave a patient's home, I will get to my car, and before I even turn it on, I will cry. And it's such a necessary part for me because I do feel all of the feelings. Um, and it does make me sad sometimes. And so I feel like that's an important piece, that I rest, that I feel the feelings, that I express the feelings. And the other thing that I have always done is journal. And so I have notebooks, a stack of them that I actually went through in preparing for this podcast, where I wrote down things patients said or that their family said or stories they told me about their life. And it was just my way of keeping their stories alive, so I would remember. And there's always patients that kind of stay with you. And I think the reason that they stay or I'm able to keep them with me is because I document the journey. And those things have been really helpful for me. I also have been lucky enough to make friends with other people who do hospice massage. And I remember early on, within the first maybe 6 months, sitting at my computer. And the way I would find out if someone died is I would get an email, it would have the patient's name, and all it would say in the subject line was the name passed. And I would look, and every time, especially initially, I was shocked, like, how could that be? How they died? And I would just cry. And sometimes my children who are adults would say, Mom, they're all going to die. And I would say, yes, but not today. Today wasn't the day I thought they would die. Like one more day would have made a difference or something. But it was always shocking how I would just be stunned to see their name and then cry. And one day or 1 week, there were 3 patients who died in the same week. And I was crying a lot. And I thought, I don't know. I'm not sure that I can do this. And I called a friend who had been doing hospice massage for a few years. And I said, I feel like my heart is breaking, and I'm not sure if I can keep doing this. And she said, when your heart stops breaking, stop doing the work. And it was the best advice I ever got, because that is the point. I mean, that we are invested, that we care, that we're giving our whole heart to each person that we touch, then of course we're going to feel things. And if we don't feel things, then what are we doing? So that was sage advice in my eyes.
I think it's a myth that as people who do this kind of work, be it either a massage therapist, an end of life doula, a grief coach, a therapist, a social worker, that there's a separation and that we could like time box, this is here, I'm going to be here, and then go home and not bring it home because I'm a professional. Um, that's a myth. We're human. And I think that connection to other people, that's going to happen, period. I know for myself, every single person I work with, I do feel in my heart. And I do think about them, and I journal also, and I take that with me. There's not that separation, and I grieve with them also. Part of me does grieve with them, and that's why the self-care is so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think if you can find, even if it's just one person, someone that is doing the same kind of work that you can bounce things off of, or, at the end of a long week, call them and say, "Ugh, this happened," or "This was a really hard loss for me." And just to be able to talk it out with someone who truly understands the emotional toll it can take. The flip side of that, though, which I think you alluded to, is that that's the beauty, that it makes me cry is the beauty of it. It it's it's what makes it such a gift for the giver. And I try to, hold that with me when it's hard, because sometimes it's really hard.
Could you tell us a little bit about the physiological benefits of hospice massage? Does it, or how does it help to alleviate some of the pain or some of the anxiety?
So it has a lot of benefits. And I guess the most simplistic way of talking about it is that when we are stressed, our nervous system goes into fight or flight. And if you think about the endless stressors involved at the end of life, the anxiety over the process, maybe the worries about your family, or maybe there are financial worries, or you're in physical pain. I mean, there's guilt, so many things. You think about all of those, and that's getting us, our body physiologically, into this fight or flight mode, which is the polar opposite of where we want to be. We want to be in the opposite response physiologically, which would be rest and digest. Massage releases endorphins. It also promotes the parasympathetic response, which is that rest and digest. It relaxes muscles. People do better with digestion, sleep, and that kind of overall wellness, which is what we all want for people at the end of life. We don't want them to be in pain. We don't want them to be stressed out. Um, Dying is hard. It's not an easy process. And so what are the ways that we as caregivers, whoever's part of their team, what are the ways that we can make them feel better? And when we talk about hospice, we always talk about quality of life. So is it quality of life if you're completely stressed out and you have no supports and nothing feels good, and physically you're just in pain 24/7? No, that is not a good quality of life. And hospice always, aims at providing that. So I think it's really important that when we're considering improving someone's quality of life or bringing comfort to them, that we're including some touch. I know at the end of my life, I want to eat whatever I want to eat. I want beautiful things around me. I want people to touch me. I want people to get in the bed with me. I want to hear beautiful music. I mean, I want all those things. And so I I can't imagine that other people don't want those things. And maybe they won't translate the same way. Maybe their beautiful things are different than my beautiful things, but to kind of surround yourself, with people you love, people who care for you and what you consider beautiful, that's, in my eyes, a much better death than in a clinical setting. Massage, I think, is just kind of like that piece of the puzzle, that added layer of promoting relaxation and connection. And um, it's funny, I think, that uh, when we have a child at birth, we hold that child, we hold that baby all the time. Touch is one of the most important things we can give a baby. And then at the end of life, for a multitude of reasons, I guess, there seems to be this fear around touch and people who are at the end of life. And I think some of that may be that people are afraid they're going to hurt them because they're frail or fragile. Um, but also I think it has to do with it's very intimate. And um, when people are having all of their own feelings around someone passing, it can sometimes be hard to kind of get out of their own way. So they're totally focused on what's going to bring my loved one peace and joy and happiness. And um, for me, I just feel like it's a kind of sad that we as a society aren't more in tune with that particular need at the end of life. Uh, and I think that, you know, nurses and doctors and aides and all these very valuable people in a team that are caring for someone um, have a job to do. And for better or worse, it it might not always feel good to the patient. Having someone give you a uh, body bath, or feeding you, or turning you, or changing your clothes, or changing the linen on your bed. All of those things can feel really disruptive and sometimes painful if people are having a lot of pain. And to no fault of anyone. It's just there's a job to do. Like, I'm an aide, I'm coming in, I'm going to clean this person up, change their clothes, change the linen on their bed, and I'm going to have to move this patient, and it's probably going to be uncomfortable. And I have to do them fast because then I have to go do that with another 10 people or whatever. So for me, that's the reason I'm there. I'm not there to do anything that's going to be uncomfortable or painful. I'm not there to change linen or to change their clothes or to change bandages or anything. Nothing I am going to do is going to be painful. My only role is to bring them comfort and peace, and that is it. And so I feel very fortunate in that aspect, that it's very clear what I'm doing. And even though I wish in my heart of hearts that everyone in a care team would be mindful and thoughtful and slow in the way they move the body, I also know that that's unrealistic. It's just the nature of the work.
How do you tailor each massage to the individual?
So when I first meet with someone, I'm kind of reading the room, you know. Where is this person? Are they sitting in a chair? Are they dressed like I'm dressed? What else is in the room? Are there other things? Is there an oxygen machine? Is there, medical equipment? Um, and then when I introduce myself and say, I'm here to do some massage, I'll ask them, are there areas of your body that are causing discomfort? And sometimes people have very specific needs and are vocal about it. And other times they're not. Um, they're kind of, oh, I don't know. Or sometimes people are nonverbal. And so I have to I like to try with the least invasive. And so I generally, if I'm not sure where to go, I'll start with someone's feet. And after that, I'll progress if it seems appropriate. Every single, I could see the same person every single day, and every single day might be different because on one day they might feel great. They might have a great day. They might be feeling like, I feel really good. I'm sitting at the dining room table. I can walk over to my bed. And so that presents, all kinds of opportunity. Oh, maybe we could do more of the body. Are they able to take their clothes off without it causing discomfort? Then we can really do some massage. Or the next day, I feel like crap. I'm laying in bed. I I don't want to move anything. And so I'll only massage what's available, like, can I get to their leg without moving them? Can I massage their hands without disrupting them? um I've found that at a minimum I can always do people's feet, hands, and head. And sometimes it's only head. And sometimes it just looks like me running my hands through their hair, which is basically what I'm doing, but it feels wonderful. So I feel every time I go to see someone, I feel like I have to be incredibly adaptable. Like, what are we going to do today? How do you feel today? Where where are we going to do this massage? What parts of your body are accessible? And how much can you participate in the process? I've had many patients who were able to take their clothes off and get in bed and lie on their side so I could do their back and then have them lay on their back and do their legs and arms, pretty much a full body massage, which is amazing. And they loved it. Um, And then as the disease progressed and as they got closer to the end, those things would shift. They wouldn't be able to get undressed. They wouldn't be able to walk to their bed. And so I would, uh, do what I could do on that particular day, given how they felt. Like a lot of variables, but I always go in with, at a minimum, I'm going to massage your feet.
Here's a two part question for you. So we have in home, people are in hospice in home, and some people are in hospice outside of the home in a facility. How does that differ for you? And what kind of feedback do you receive from the family members, from the caregivers, especially in that second situation where you're in a facility and you have doctors and nurses around, and how do they react to you also?
I I go to people's homes. I go to assisted livings, where people are independent, but they might have some help. I also go to nursing homes. The most challenging place to work is at a nursing home. And I feel like that it's multi-layered. There's a lot going on. So there's a lot of facility staff in and out, and um, the patients typically that I see in nursing homes um, don't have family coming in. They don't have a lot of visitors. They're bedbound most of the time, and so happy to see me. Like, the face will light up. I have one patient in a nursing home right now who calls me Goldilocks when I walk in the door. It's Goldilocks. I had a patient who sadly passed last week who had ALS, and he was in a nursing home and could barely speak. In a Broda chair, which is basically for people who have no movement in their arms and legs. And his eyes would dart to the side when I came in. But the last time I saw him, when I walked into his doorway and he kind of moved his head as much as he could to see me, he yelled out, "Yay!" And I said, "You're happy to see me." And it was lovely. So I feel like people in nursing homes are almost the people who need it the most because they get it the least. They get less contact. And facility staff are always overjoyed and me next, me next, or aren't you so lucky you're getting a massage? So they see that it's a benefit and that it's helpful for their patients and welcome me when I come in, which is lovely.
What advice would you give to family members or other caregivers who want to use comfort touch to soothe their loved ones?
My advice would be touch, touch your person, touch a person as much as possible. What I do in massage is not rocket science. It's meant to be comforting. So that means it needs to be slow and light. So much like you would apply lotion to someone's arm. So if you're a caregiver for someone at the end of life and you're doing just that, applying lotion to their arms, perhaps do it a little more slowly, a little more purposefully, um, with some intention. Um, the intention being, gosh, I hope this feels good, or the intention being, I love you. I want to help make you feel better. I would recommend that people touch as much as possible. I always think about when people pass, I think it's sad if there's no one right next to them. I think it's sad to imagine someone in a hospital bed, maybe not in a hospital, but in a hospital bed without someone next to them. And when I say next to them, I mean laying next to them. I think one of my biggest regrets about my mom's passing that I referenced earlier is that I didn't get in the bed with her. And I say to my children all the time, if I'm at the end of my life, please get in the bed with me. Please hold me in the same way you would, in a baby that needs love. It's not any different. And people may feel funny about that or uncomfortable. I think just in general, because we're such a touch deprived society, but you will feel better having done that than not. So I would recommend doing hand massage, foot massage, running your hands through their hair. I had this patient early on who had early onset Alzheimer's, and she was, I think, 50, and she could not speak. And when she was anxious, according to her caregiver, she would just yell out. And I witnessed that. And it wasn't anything decipherable. It was just kind of noises that she would yell out. And when I first went there, I was so intimidated by her because she couldn't speak with me. And I wasn't sure if she liked anything I was doing. And I would massage her feet and her hands and her head. And she wouldn't yell out while I was there. And the very last time I saw her, she was on a futon mattress on the floor. And I laid next to her. I got on the ground. I laid behind her and I just ran my fingers through her hair. And I swear, Tracy, I felt her body lean into mine. And I thought, oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Her name was Louise. I'll never forget her. And I just talked to her and told her she loved angels. She had angel statues everywhere. I said, the angels are here, Louise. They're coming. Just just go with the angels. And she passed that night. But it was just such a lovely thing. Like, there's no way she was ever going to give me any feedback. Like, oh, thank you so much. You made me feel so good. I was never getting that. But there was this lean back that I can still feel almost that was so validating. Like, yes, I know you know I'm here. It was lovely.
Susan, many consider the end of life as a deeply spiritual and sacred time. How does your approach to massage therapy align with this perspective?
It is indeed a very sacred time in someone's life. And my approach to all massage is to see the body holistically, mind, body, and spirit. And what I have experienced with hospice massage is often people will make references to their religious beliefs or their spirituality. And because everyone's spiritual beliefs are so very personal, I needed to kind of shift my perspective from organized religion and those kinds of beliefs to spirituality. And what I came up with the along the road was that for me, when I am with someone at the end of life, I am my best self, my most loving, my most kind, my most compassionate. And what that translates to is that it's my soul, this light in me, this thing that never changes, that always will be, that connects with the patient's soul. And I had a patient a few years ago who was a pastor, and he used to say to me, when you touch me, I feel God. And he would speak as a pastor would. And I said to him one day, well, what does that mean? And he said, it's not the massage, Susan. It's you. It's you and me, and we're God. And I just thought that was the most beautiful take, that when we connect at that level, that we are experience whatever God is for each of us. And for me, it's that most loving, most kind, most generous part of me connecting with theirs. And that is the beauty. It's the connection and the realization that it's our souls that are connecting.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So I know that you offer classes. Can people who aren't massage therapists take these classes? Or are they focused just for massage therapists?
They are focused just for massage therapists. So they're actually continuing ed classes that massage therapists are required to have so many continuing ed units per year. And it does actually require a background in massage.
What would you say to individuals who are considering hospice massage, either for themselves or for their loved ones? What should they expect, and how can they find a massage therapist who specializes in hospice care?
Google would be a good way to find someone. I think it is a tall order, unfortunately. I think it is a tall order. There are not a lot of people who specialize in hospice massage. There are not even a lot of hospice organizations that offer massage. I just happened to find one that did. I feel like that is something that will change. And the reason I feel that way is because our demographic is changing, and people, um, like from my parents' generation who were born in the Depression, they had no knowledge of massage. They didn't go for massage. They didn't know its health benefits. But people now who are aging, who are baby boomers, they do know massage and they have included it in their life. I have more and more hospice patients now that are like, I always got massage. I got massage regularly and, really happy that it's included. It's unfortunate that it isn't just a normal thing that we would include in care in general. In other countries, massages is just part of their wellness routine, in Asia and India. And it's not, or I mean, more and more so it is in the United States, but not to the extent it is in other places. That kind of preventative wellness paradigm that we're just starting to really embrace in this country.
What would you say to people who are massage therapists who do want to start and work in hospices or help people who are in hospice or are terminally ill?
I would say to get some training, which is available. And there's certainly not just hospice massage advanced training, but there are oncology massage courses that are available for people. And those are really helpful because they prepare you for working with people who have complicated health issues and kind of get you into that mode of thinking of the not fixing that we were talking about. The other thing I would say is if you're interested in doing work with end of life patients, be prepared. Be prepared to grow and change and learn more than you could ever imagine. And go in with the knowledge that it will be difficult work, but it will change you in all of the best possible ways, not just professionally, as a human being.
Definitely. Definitely. Susan, thank you so much for being here. We're at the top of the hour. This has been so deep and interesting. Thank you. How can someone get a hold of you?
I have a website. It is Susan Coffey, lmt.com, and my email address is scoffey348 at gmail.com.
Great. And I'll put those both in the description of this podcast. So folks, conversations like these serve as a reminder of the beauty and grace that come from caring for people. If Susan's story moved you, I encourage you to learn more about hospice massage, either by taking one of her classes as a massage therapist or by experiencing the therapy firsthand. Thank you for joining us today. If you've any questions, please comment below or reach out to me directly. And if you found this conversation to be helpful, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.